How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PPF and Tint, and today we are going to be installing paint protection film on the front fender and fender flare of this Audi Q5. So this is a 2022. It came over from a body shop, just had some body work done and some new paint, and so we're going to be putting paint protection film over the top of this. Terrific. Well, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're just gonna get this laid on here, brush out some of this, some of the air that's trapped underneath there. All right, get it positioned just a little bit, and then let's move the camera. Let's get you guys in here. All right, so what we're gonna do is get this corner lined up, and then keep this line looking really good across the top and uniform, as well as coming down. And then we also want to make sure that we're not hanging too far this way, and that this is on the, exactly on the corner. Okay. So once we have that lined up pretty good, we're going to go ahead and squeegee a little bit of this recess. We're going to squeegee all the way down to right here. Double check, make sure you're not leaving any water behind. All right. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is just keep an eye on this bottom here, and then make sure that we're lining up pretty good all in here. And I'm gonna really start with like this area here and make sure it's lined up good, and then we'll kind of readjust this part later. But I can tell here that this pattern is hanging down too far right here, so we need to go up with that a little bit. And that keeps a nice, really nice uniform line. We'll go ahead and go right across this body line first. Oops. Let's be careful right here though, because we do need to bring this down a little bit. So let's actually not squeegee all that out yet. So I broke it loose, and you can see it's moving around, floating around again. And let's go ahead and get this positioned better, because it was leaving a gap right here with the way I had it. So now we'll go ahead and squeegee that down. We'll take this stuff down, and then we'll take the rest of this up, or over anyway. Okay, so just make sure in this recess here that you get some good pressure in there, good even pressure, and you squeegee all the water out. Okay, and then let's take a look here. That's all lined up really good now, so we'll go ahead and just lightly squeegee this out. All right, and then we'll kind of go back over it a little bit harder. And I only turned my squeegee around this other way instead of like this, so that I could get right into the headlight there, tuck right into that edge, get all the way to the edge. Okay. Now we've got fingers here, and then let's take care of those real quick. So basically on this top part, it's most important to me right now that we get up and over the edge. This does wrap into up over the top of the fender here. So basically I just want to be up to that edge. So I don't want to leave any fingers on here, and then we'll worry about folding this part over after we get the rest of the fender down. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and spray these edges out here. A little tack solution, and let's take care of this part now. Okay. So we are hanging over the edge a tiny bit right there, and there's nothing we can do about that. The other side was the same way. So let's go ahead and go right down this body line again. Make sure that we're positioned correctly. And we'll bring this down. So now because this started to dry up here a bit, it's already started to cure. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that, but if you could see that, that'd be great. A great example of what paint protection film looks like as it starts to dry over where it has a lot of moisture still left underneath the material. And that's basically, it's not moisture we have to squeegee out, that's just moisture that's stuck in the adhesive. So you can see it looks a little bit more milky than the darker area there, if you can see that. Hopefully that's shows up in the camera if I go back and forth, maybe. Anyway, that's just good to note. There's nothing wrong with this, it just isn't as dry yet as this part. So you don't have to worry, is what I'm getting at. Okay, we're gonna squeegee this out. It's also important when you're squeegeeing this out that you don't take this up like this, because this part is already curing because we're working on the front there, and we don't want to push any of this water through the areas that are already stuck down. That will leave a distortion in the adhesive. All right, let's spray this down. So we're just going up and over that edge, doing a little swipe and hold. Oh, it's starting to stick. Get a little mist on here. Okay, squeegee this part out. Let's get a little tack in here. Let's see. It's hanging over a decent little amount, at least an 1/8 inch or so. All right, let's get a little tack in there, see what we can do with this. The other side is able just to tug it onto the bottom of this fender, and it actually stuck to it without a problem. Because it doesn't go in and go straight back or just end, it actually kind of goes in and then rounds downward behind this plastic piece. So it's not a real sharp angle. Okay. And then spray this out again with a little bit more tack solution. And then we'll round this part over and tuck it in. Okay, that all sticking down really nice. Dry these edges out a little. Might end up getting some more water in those though while we're doing the rest of this, so don't spend too much time drying those edges out. All right, let's get this top part now. All right, so I'm gonna get some fresh tack solution in here. And something I noticed on the other side, because I already did the other side, is that this wraps in and then it kind of bumps into this plastic a bit, and that is a pretty sharp edge that goes under there. It's not going, we'll see how this one goes. I had to cut the other side off. I'll show you all that though. All right, so I've got some tack underneath there. We'll put a little bit of slip on top. And then the first swipe here is going to be just to get this stuff over the edge. Just a little bit. Okay. And then we'll get some good pressure in this recess. as we come across. Because we have tack in there, you know, we want to get some good pressure and not leave any moisture behind, because it's going to be hard to squeegee out. All right, so I'll come over to this side and then we'll bring this in this way. Okay, I'll round it up in. Oh, this side, I must have had this down a little bit further. That's nice. The other side, I had to come back and cut this off right where this one ends. I must have had the other pattern on the other side up a little bit too high. All right, so we're just rounding this up into that recess and taking it up the back there. All right, and then just make sure down in that recess where it contours there that you're not leaving moisture in there. Otherwise you're gonna have air pockets in there. All right, that's some solid pressure on there. That's why it's squealing. Okay. Now, that's all pushed down all really good. Everything is pretty much down. You can see here that there's some silver edges, and those will just need to be pushed down a little bit more, and then the heat seal process will make sure that those stay down. Right here I noticed on the other side that there is no fender there for this to stick to, so we're going to go ahead and need to trim this part off. Then I'll come across the top here like that, and then we'll pull, I'm going to pull this piece of material back a little bit and cut all the way through. That way I give myself a nice area to tear from. There we go. All right, and then we'll just, with our finger, push all this down and get all that moisture out of that edge. So basically just came down right here and then across the top, right close to the edge. Just double checking. So if you dry all this out, if you go ahead and dry this top, you know, just the material, just dry off the material, then you'll really be able to see if you left any moisture in there. And that all looks really good. So now let's go ahead and wrap this around a bit and see if it'll stay down. And this is really part of like the final heat sealing process, but this paint is so tacky with the material that it may just go down right now. I'll go ahead and put some fresh tack solution in there. I'm going to dry off the front here just so that I don't get the gloves so wet. I'll start wrapping this over. So again, I'm just taking it past that edge first, and then we'll continue to wrap it further and further in. Now, it's not always possible to wrap it this early, but like I said, this paint is super sticky. So it's sticking super fast and really easily. So each time, just rolling it back further and further. Till you've got it all the way down. All right, great, that's stuck down. So I will be blowing some heat in there during the heat seal process to make sure that all of that stays down. So that's not a final, but it's you know, it's staying stuck down as far as I can tell. But it will get some heat on it during the heat seal process at the end. All right, so let's go ahead and get the piece on this fender here, the fender flare. Go ahead and wipe it down one more time. I'm just checking my edges on the fender to make sure that everything's stuck down. Gives me less possibility of bumping into those edges while I'm doing the fender flare, because I don't want to bunch up any of these edges if they're not fully stuck down. Like right here, it's not totally stuck down, so just kind of keep that in mind. All right. Oop, 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 oop. Nope, nope, don't do that. I don't want to get any contamination. Okay, so with these pieces, what I found over the years is that you're going to want to start on one end or the other. So this part, we're going to go ahead and start back here today, and then work our way to the front. Okay, so let's get this lined up. We see that this is going to go underneath, and then this part will fold over and then leave a little gap here. So what we don't want to do is hang over the edge that way, so keep an eye for that. And then we want this to be pretty much be on that corner there, that relief cut. Alright, so really keep an eye on that back edge so we don't hang over, because we don't want to have to trim it. Just make extra work for ourselves. Okay, then we'll break this loose, just giving it a little shake, a little shimmy, and get it lined up, and then we'll squeegee up to that point. We're just going to leave this for now, just hanging over. Alright, and we need a new battery in the Sony. I'll do that in a moment. All right, just continuing to line this up and squeegeeing it out. It's pretty straightforward. As we work our way up here to the front, let's go ahead and take a look. So it looks like, interesting. I would venture to guess that this relief cut is supposed to be right on this body line, so we are going to need some stretch, which I did not anticipate. Damn. Normally you don't normally these don't really need any stretching, so I should have double checked that, which I always do, right? Like when we're going like left to right or something, but this one I purposely didn't check because we don't normally run into this issue. But it's always good to check the other end and see where it's going to end up. I'm going to pull this back a little bit. Okay. I don't want to stretch right from that line where I pulled it back from, or where I pulled it back to. So we're going to go ahead and put this in place, and then we're going to squeegee out up like an inch or so. Now we can stretch from there. So we'll just give ourselves a little stretch. Make sure that we stay lined up. And then we'll squeegee this out. Okay. I'm going to hold this in place with this finger in the area that's already tacked down, just to make sure that it doesn't break loose. And I'm going to give a little bit more stretch again. And then I'm going to push this up into place and just hold it a little bit for a second. And it's going to start pre-tacking. And then squeegee this out to my finger. And we're just going to continue the same thing over and over until we get down to the bottom there. So I'm putting a little bit of stretch on it, and that's why I need to make sure that this edge stays lined up, because as you pull tight on this, this will start to move in like that. So keep that in mind. Okay, that's gonna be good right there. So we'll go down to my thumb, and then we'll work our way the rest of the way down. So I am reaching down here, putting a little bit of tension. That'll help these guys start to fold over. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and replace the battery in the Sony, and then we will start rolling this over. Alright, so because this is so tacky, I think I might be able to wrap it around with just a slip solution. If not, then your best bet would be to put some tack solution in there. But because we have a lot to stick to back here, once this goes over, that's also going to help because there's a lot of surface area. Let's see, this squeegee is going to be too long for this type of a swipe. So for just a second here, I'm going to switch over to this guy and get part of this down. Okay, it's not that tacky, so I'm going to need some tack solution. I'm going to spray this out all the way around. All right. Okay, then we'll start rolling that over. I'm gonna put a little mist on this of slip solution. Make sure I don't grab the material with the squeegee. And now that I got a good part stuck down, that's gonna help the rest of this not continue to pop up as I go down. So I'm just pushing it over a little bit further each time I go across it. Now we're going to come down here to the bottom and roll this over. And then we'll push this in here. Okay, double check that edge around that corner, make sure it's all pushed down. And that there's no water left behind. All right, so I'm gonna come up further here and put that down. And then we'll start rolling this over. Okay, keep doing that all the way around. All right, so I'm going to come down to here to this relief cut, and I'm going to roll this. Well, you know what? We're just going to keep bumping into all this stuff, so let's just start at the bottom and work our way up. I need some more tack in here. Okay, so this piece down here, when it goes over, it has a little finger in it. If you can, I don't know if you can see that, it's got a finger right there. So we're gonna put just a little bit of stretch on it back into the wheel well. Okay, let's see how this one lays down. So it's got a little finger bunching up right there, so I am gonna do the same thing where I put a little tension on it. and then squeegee it out. Keep working our way up. Okay, and then let's get this edge, the end of this down, and then we'll go ahead and start swiping this down. Okay. All right, then we'll go ahead and dry this off. Especially on a black car, it'll really help you see any parts that are sticking up because they'll be very silver looking. Everything looks good so far. Now this does end right about here. So it doesn't cover the full fender flare, but it's pretty, I mean, this part's pretty big. They could have added some onto this. That would have been a nice, you know, nice to get full coverage on this part here. Looks like this maybe was, it doesn't, not with that relief cut right there. I don't think it was supposed to come all the way down to here, but it did leave that gap too, so. But that's way down there. I mean, it should be fine. It'd be better if it covered it, but it doesn't, so. All right, so I'm just drying out all these edges. Get this edge on the fender as well. Okay, double check this relief cut here. So I can see that it's silver right here. I don't know if you can tell in the camera or not. It's a little bit silver there. And that's gonna need to just cure a little bit, and then that'll push right down. It's already starting to push down, if you can see the difference between there and there. And in the heat sealing process, that'll fully go down and stay down. Okay. All right, well, other than heat sealing the edges, these are all finished up. So that's the process of installing paint protection film on the fender of this 2022 Q5 Audi and the fender flare. Terrific, I appreciate you taking a look. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.